Dear all, thank you for joining me today. I'm going to talk a little bit about actions, about attitude and actions, indeed, which I feel have been the keys to anyone's success, really. And why is it important to me? And first of all, before I really take a deep dive into it, let me say that I feel that for me personally, in order to be able to speak about any topic, really, I feel I need to have some experience from that topic. And for me, often experience means that I have struggled, I have stumbled, I have stepped awry, I have followed the wrong paths for so many times before I gain my footing and before I really know what's what and how to proceed. So also in this case, I will go back to the early or even the first years of my career and start from there. I was fresh out of school. Also, school for me was unfortunately a way of going through school, trying to get everything done as quickly as possible and move on to more interesting and fun extracurricular activities outside school hours. That is actually something I regret these days, because if I had paid even a little bit more attention, it would have been so much easier going forward. Same applies with my first employment. I was very lucky to be hired during a recession, actually, a recession period. I was very lucky to be hired at the Prime Minister's office at the information unit, where I worked for 6 years. It was super interesting. Many exciting things happening, a very, very interesting way of gaining insight into how the press works, the media relations, how politics work. Obviously, at the information unit, I was then handling the landline. Actually, there was a phone book back in those days, in the very late 80s. So people were, or was it early 90s? People were calling on my landline, asking questions, and I then guided them forward. That was a big part of my job. And the pitfalls I encountered during that particular period of time was actually that, first of all, I thought it was enough just to do what you were hired to do, and then, work from 8 to 4 or quarter past, actually, in those days, and then just, stamp out and leave and go and have some fun. And I'm not saying that's not the case. Of course, that is what one can do, surely. But for me, I feel that I should have given it some more thought. I should have really paid more attention. Also, my attitude in a way was, and my firm belief was actually that I know what I'm doing, I'm good at what I'm doing, and also that is, of course, a healthy way, but to conduct your business. But to be perfectly honest, what one should always do is, of course, to be open for improvement. And that I was not. So I took everything as a criticism, and I was reluctant to change my ways and to do better. But I was young. I was 19, 20. So that was who I was at that period in time. And also I was maybe not willing to put in the extra effort. There were possibilities to school yourself further, but for some reason I did not really grasp those opportunities. I wanted everything to happen, a little bit more easily to just have a sort of easy, smooth way forward. I was not able or willing to put in the struggle. Let's put it that way. After a few years, 6 years to be precise, I decided that this is it for me. I want to try something else. I want to go on to the private sector. And I then applied for a position in a consultancy firm. There, that period of time again had other challenges. There were a need to work long hours. There were a lot to do. And then I started to realize that really, no matter how good and perfect I thought I was at what I was doing, I made mistakes. One of the main reasons I made mistakes was that I did not pay enough attention to detail. I did not always go back to double check what I have done or what I had done, and therefore I made some mistakes which were quite unfortunate, to be honest. There were the wrong customer's name on presentations that were handed out and so on and so forth. And I was also working super long hours. I was not really understanding that you can say no, you can draw the lines, you can draw the lines of the framework of your life. What is okay, what is not okay? What am I willing to do? I remember in particular one night I was working until 3 o'clock in the morning, and one of the consultants lost his nerve on something. I don't recall what it was, and he was really nasty to me. I ended up in tears. I called my husband and he said, come home, and I somehow learned that there is really, there is a line that you can draw. But then again, the problem there was that I did not draw my own line. And also I was somehow, although I put in a lot of extra work, I put in a lot of effort. And from there, I think my sort of work ethic and work morale really started to shape. Again, I was not always willing to go the extra mile. And please mind, this is only my own experience now, so I'm not saying that everyone should always go the extra mile, but for me personally, that has been important. And I will tell you more now going forward. After those few years at the consultancy company, I then again decided that I wanted to do something else. I had been there maybe 3 or 4 years, and then I went to work for a company called Gillette Group. There were a lot of interesting brands under that umbrella. There were Braun products, there were Oral-B, Duracell, and of course Gillette products. And that was a very, very good period in the sense that I learned that if there's something that I'm interested in and that I'm willing to do, more often than not, there will be given an opportunity to do that, to do a little bit extra. I, for instance, became very interested in doing translations. I don't have any formal education in translating, and to translate product guidelines or marketing material at times, stuff like that. It is something which of course is much easier if you have a clue about what you're doing. But I was so interested there. I found, okay, I'm actually interested to go the extra mile here. I'm interested to learn more and to do more. And I started working quite long hours there as well. And I think the issue there was that I just took on a lot of work. I just took on anything and everything that was given to me without any thought or regard to, am I going to have enough time to do this? Or is it even realistic, to meet those deadlines? And also the deadlines I set. I was telling people that I would be ready with something at a certain hour or on a certain day, and then of course there were some issues with meeting those deadlines, but I would not go back on that. But what I did instead was that I was then working very late. I was working weekends, I was working nights, just to ensure that I met the deadlines. And yes, that's always a good thing to do. But there again, I realized that okay, my attitude maybe was not the correct one here either. And then of course there's always the other question of why should one want to accomplish so much, and that's a whole other story, of course. But the years there were very, very educational in many ways, psychologically as well. And at some point I realized that the tasks and the environment and everything was something that had come full circle, if you will, that I was ready to do something new again. I had been there maybe 3 or 4 years. And then I applied for something which looked very interesting. I noticed in the newspaper of a position. In this previous job, I had been then the office manager, which was very, very educational, as I said. But then the next position I found in a newspaper was then the position of executive assistant at my current workplace, at the current listed company. And these 16 years I have actually now been here, have been the most rewarding years I have encountered. And the reason is that for the first time, I think, in my life, I became very much interested in what I was doing. I started out working for the manager of sales and marketing. I was working for someone in environment at some point. I was working for someone in procurement at some point. And I also learned that you can actually start shaping your own tasks more. The more you're interested in doing something, you can really take that over and start doing it. And after a while, you will be like in the previous position where I started a little bit with the translations there, all of a sudden you will be the lady who is the one doing the translations in the office, or you will be the one always handling all of the workshops in the office, or the one doing the particular sort of events, or always there to help with a certain task. So I actually became the person. I became the employee I wanted to be, in a way. One of the most fun experiences I had, and very, very good lessons for me, were at the point when I was a little bit in between jobs within the company, though, but a little bit in between jobs. Somebody got fired and the new boss did not yet come in, and there was a period of, okay, how to proceed. And then I heard that they're actually opening up a huge sales and marketing hub in Brussels, and quite a few of the employees were relocating there and starting the new offices in Brussels. And I thought to myself, oh man, that is so interesting. Wow, that sounds so interesting. And then Part of the story is that there was a Dutch guy who every now and then visited the office and or the offices where I was working, that department, and usually he had some small favors he wanted to ask. Can you scan this, or could you help me printing that, or whatever. And there were no assistant as such there in that department, or whoever he asked earlier was not willing to help him. I'm not sure on the details there, but I felt, yes, sure, I can help, because I had learned that earlier I was unfortunately a little bit the person that, yes, of course, I took all of the tasks a manager would give me, but unfortunately I was a little bit of the person that I was not always that helpful. But I had come to a conclusion with myself that actually being an assistant is assisting. I want to assist. I want to be helpful. I want to help people. I don't always want to look at the clock or say, yeah, well, this is a little bit beneath my role, or this is not actually what I'm here to do, or you're not the person I'm supposed to help. Assuredly, there you draw lines. Of course you do. But the lines I drew were in the wrong direction in my earlier life. So I had then revised my work ethics quite a bit, and I had come to realize that the person I was becoming was more in line what I wanted to become. So back to assisting this guy. It was the last day before my summer vacation, and he gave me a call, and there was something that needed to be scanned, and I did that. And then he said, yeah, well, I'm off to Brussels, actually. I'm going to move there, and I'm going to be a part of that office setup. And I said to him, oh, wow, it is so interesting. And I hope I get to visit you guys one day. That sounds fantastic. Good luck and all that. And wished him a good summer and hang up. The next morning, in having flown to Venice with my family and having been settled in there, we went to the corner shop to get baguettes. And the phone rings, my mobile rings, and it is this guy. And I'm telling him, sorry, my vacation already started. I'm already in Italy. And he said, yes, I know, but I wanted to introduce an idea to you. And he said, listen, were you serious yesterday when you said that you really liked the setup of the Brussels office and that you would be interested to visit? And I said, yes, of course. And he said, well, we do need an office manager in Brussels. Would you be interested? And that really blew me away. And he told me that the reason he asked me was my attitude, that I was willing to help. I was there. My attitude was nice and correct. And that is why he immediately thought of me. And that was the best praise I could ever get for a job well done, so to speak. And after some negotiating back and forth also with the family, my husband and my then 10-year-old child, they stayed in Finland, and I was working in Brussels maybe 10 days in a row, something like that. And then I were in Helsinki maybe 4 or 5 days in a row and then back again. So the idea was that I'm there for a while, and then let's see if the family would relocate and I would then be permanently in Brussels. Things did not turn out that way. I made a decision later on to relocate back to Finland. But nonetheless, that again, what a learning curve, I'm telling you. There were a zillion things to do. Setting up a new office that seats maybe, was it 96 people or so? Well, there were never 96 people at the time, but nonetheless, there was so much to do. And I was in charge of, teaching people about invoicing, looking into leasing car service providers, I who do not even have a driver's license. And there were simply, just too much to do. And again, I did too much in a way, but I don't regret. I don't regret it. I did maybe 12 hours a day, but I did too much. 16 hours a day, sometimes weekends. I worked a lot, but I learned so much. I also had a lady working for me, the receptionist, and she was my right and left hand, and that was also a fantastic experience. Really, how do you be on a very, very minuscule level the manager there for a moment, and how do you interact with a person who is reporting to you, and how do you try to give them more responsibility and all of that. So also hugely rewarding and hugely interesting. As it then turned out, we made the decision that I would come back to Finland. That was a very good decision. It was based mostly on my child's needs and wishes. I came back to Finland, and back again in the head office with the same company I was working for HR. I was taking minutes in meetings, for instance. I was part of the management team. And there were some interesting aspects there as well. And the attitude, of course, there had to be that no matter how interesting something is or how exciting something is in terms of what is going to happen, what is confidential still, everything and anything that really relates to people, who is going to be hired, who is going to be fired, to put it bluntly. I was in a position where a person very, very close to me was actually being fired, and that person did not know that for quite some time. Same applied for a manager in another department who also had some serious issues there, and I was not supposed to know about them. Of course I wasn't, and there also the attitude was to sort of always be calm, be cool, be collected, be professional, always be kind, never give anything away. Never. I have quite a few times in my life I have had to play a little bit stupid, to be honest, just in order not to give anything away. Just being very sort of blue-eyed, oh, I have no clue, I don't know. Wow, and that for me was also important in the sense that I really wanted to be the person you can always rely on. You can always trust that I will not give anything away, even if it had something to do with my colleague or his or her position or what have you, or his or her manager. I would not give anything away ever. Not by a look, not by a wink or whatever. It would at some parts and some points, I'm telling you, it would have been somehow so very rewarding just to let people know that I'm in the know or I know something. And I did not ever cross that line, and I never have since then either, and I never do. And that I am grateful for that, although in the beginning it was a little bit of a struggle, really having to do with interesting and exciting confidential affairs. And this was, mind you, maybe 10 years ago or so, that I never gave in on that one. No, not even when people were asking me straight out. Then fast forward a little bit, there was my colleague was going on maternity leave, and meanwhile her position was super interesting. I really wanted to do what she was doing. That was something that had always been a little bit a dream of mine, that I could do that job. And I was at the legal department, and I landed that job for the period she was away. This also was then something that I was asked to do later. I was asked to come back, and in that period of time, I actually then also draw some lines there. I told them that I'm so excited and so happy to be back, but there were a few ground rules that I wanted to set, which I will not recount here, but I wanted to set those ground rules. Those were important to me. It was the first time ever I set any sort of ground rules, and actually they were just taken at face value. I was able to get through to my manager, a very, very good manager, on those ground rules, the HR manager at that point, and who really understood me well. And then I had a new sense of pride and accomplishment in my position, because someone had listened to me, and also I had been able to state what I wanted and what was important for me. And in what I have been doing now, then, the most exciting job I feel for me, working at legal with the board of directors, with the leadership team, and legal affairs, insider issues, those kind of areas of law and corporate affairs are so exciting and so interesting that I have always been willing to go the extra mile. And there again, I learned that my personal attitude there was not again so much then to show outwards something, but also to show inwards to myself, that I became, during these years, very meticulous. I became a stickler to detail. I became fiercely proud of what I'm doing. I became someone who really concentrates on getting things right, not for the sake of showing something outward, like I said, but for the sake of importance of that topic itself. And I also wanted always, like I said, to go the extra mile, and that again has led for me to huge fringe benefits. I have gained a respect, I feel, in my area. I have gained so many interesting opportunities, so very many interesting opportunities. Travels, events, many different kinds of exciting opportunities. And also one has been then when I was for the University of Applied Sciences, I was asked to teach as a secondary position, just for maybe 10 or 12 hours each autumn. I was then asked to teach future bachelors of business administration on what it is to be an executive assistant and what the role is like. And there first my idea and first thought was, oh no, I cannot do it. I don't have anything to say. I don't know how to do it. I'm not a teacher. I don't know how to teach. How can I ever manage? And then I decided to take the leap and decided to do it. And actually for 6 years, every autumn for 10 or 12 hours, that's exactly what I did. And there again, the attitude and the action taken there was so rewarding. And by teaching others, I realized how much I learned myself, and also I became even more proud in a healthy way of wow, I actually do know a lot, and what I do is exciting, and I can really infuse into people's minds, how interesting this position is, how the sky is the limit, how anything and everything you want to do almost you can accomplish that. There will be ways to accomplish that. And this is now the short version again of my story and of attitude and action. And those have been the keys to my success. And by success, I'm meaning a position which I love, in which I thrive, which makes me always want to go to the office, no matter how nervous I often am of do I accomplish something the way it's supposed to be accomplished or not. And yet I love to go to work. So thank you for listening to me and have a lovely day. Bye.